Today we got Christian. What do you want me to call you as your last name? Because I see Espinoza, I see
I go by Albino.
Albino. Okay,
Yeah.
Christian Albino from Team Dormant. You just came back from Dallas, PPG. So what was it? Was it a 1K? What was it?
It was a case tournament. It was a PPG player support.
Okay, so you won a case. When is that supposed to get to you?
So there was options. I could either get half the case that I was supposed to get,
Hmm.
set 15, or I can get 8 anniversary boxes, or I get cash. Since I was having car issues, I decided to go with cash because I need extra money to work on car.
Hey, nobody blames you for that. Cash is king.
Yeah.
So you didn't play what I think most people anticipated a top deck to win. You played Red Broly Swap. Now, I have your deck list here, and the viewers will be able to see it posted in a nice, pretty picture. But it looks like you got your deck with you and on hand. So just to kind of
Yeah.
go over it, I'm pulling up here on my phone just to keep it all uniform. It looks like a pretty standard build. You do have a little bit of spice, I'd say, for the Piccolo Unison Ultimate. But let's kind of go through the deck. So pretty simple, right? Broly swap package. You start with the TPs. You have the standard one drops. You got the Planet Vampa. Got the Boz. How often
Yeah.
was your chain going through?
I got the chain off every game. When I play, I like to establish more than one chain. It's if I do have to do one chain, I will. But other than that, I prefer to go maybe 2 to 3.
Sure.
There was 2 matches in a row where I got 4 chains on field by turn 3.
Nasty, bro. Nasty. Okay. So let's kind of talk through your lines of play. So when you start, let's say you go first. What is your first? Are you going Vampa? Are you going Broly? What's your turn one?
So when I start my turn, depending on what deck I could play, which almost every deck in this meta, I always take a life, even if I am going first,
Hmm.
just to help me with hand size and depict plays easier. And then I'll search my deck. So, like, say I have Unison. Turn one, I'll probably drop Unison if I'm going first because it's the safest play.
Hmm.
I can plus one it and then search Wolfang. But if I don't have Unison, I'll more likely go for the Vampa just to charge the Vampa for turn 2.
Sure.
Yeah, I rarely play Vampa unless I'm going first. I feel comfortable playing it. Going second, I don't rarely play it. Unless my opponent tries to attack my Unison, I need the extra self awaken, so I'll do it.
Okay. Now looking through your list, I mean, like I said, it's what I would imagine Red Broly would be. Now I've seen you play with this deck before, so maybe I'm just more familiar with your build. I'm gonna talk about your tech choices. So for the ultimate on the Piccolo Unison, obviously, you get to play two 3-drop or less 19k or less battle cards that are red, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those who didn't know, that's what the ultimate does is a -6, I think.
Yeah, it's neg 6. Choose 3 battle cards with 19k or less that are mono red from deck and play them.
Okay, so your tech choices are obviously going to be Fearless Pan.
Yeah.
You have the one of the Sun Gohan from like a TP from way back when. It's critical if if you have four or less cards in hand, you get to draw
Yeah,
two.
4 left.
And then you have this really nice one of the Sun Goku, the ape. Tell me what that card does.
So it has crit, and then at the main burst 3, KO a battle card that you control and restand it. So it triggers the leader's auto because the leader auto states when a battle card is removed by opponent's skill or KO'd, choose up to one of your red Broly with energy cost 4 less from your hand and play it.
So you get to trigger your own leader effect. So you're basically restarting a whole nother chain.
Yeah, as far as I know, because no one's ever said anything else. You know, John was there yesterday. John saw me do it. Never said anything else. You know,
Now, how often were you getting up to the 6-drop, and how often were you dropping the secret?
so secret, I dropped it in game 2. I dropped it in game 1 and 3 against U7 Gohan in the second round of top 8. I didn't like in our game 1. I got rid of every card in his hand, got rid of every card on his field, and just make sure he couldn't combo on me. I had double ball blocker, and I still dropped SCRs to be like, you can't combo me.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
That figure is gross. It's getting reprinted, so it should see a little bit more play, I think, with either this deck or the Gogeta chain. Obviously, this is probably the prime suspect. Now, I will
It'd
say,
also be able to get played in new Broly deck too.
yes, because of the new cards are gonna have a 35k base of 6 drop. I actually got a copy just for that deck. Now I did notice that this you have a set 13 Broly in here. It doesn't necessarily go with the OG chain per se. It's for the Young Invaders deck. Tell me
Yeah.
what you use that card for. What does it do, and how often did you play it?
So turn two, usually your opponent will be tapped out. The only time I ever got rid of this card is I decided out for Crown of Retribution against blue decks.
Sure, makes sense.
But other than that, this card is really great because it lets me reveal my opponent's hand, and I'll sack a chain. I'll sacrifice going into a chain for this card for my opponent revealing hand. So then that way I can decide if I want to next six that turn or I can go following plays.
I mean, hand knowledge is probably the most important thing you can get from a game. So just being able to
Yeah.
see, even if you don't get anything that turn, you're getting to see what they're running in that deck. Especially when
Yeah.
you're not in Top Cut. Now, for Top Cut, did they let you see your opponent's deck list?
Not in this event. No, they didn't.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, because it was a 1 day event, they decided that's the way they did it.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I'm looking through everything else. You do have the one fighting against fate, the one new ruler, um, two wolf fangs, two Yamcha's mained. You don't feel like those were too small? Were you just trying to stick to as small a deck as possible?
What the Yamcha counterplays?
The Yamchas and the wolf fangs at two each.
So when I play Broly, I play a lot of aggro.
Sure.
I play multiple decks, but aggro is where I stay because I like making my opponent feel kind of like they're a little helpless in the game.
Hmm.
You know, as bad as that sounds, that's the way I like playing.
Sure. No.
So, so I don't. I used to play more extra card, and I always felt like I was lacking in kill potential.
Mm.
So I dropped it down to 6 extra cards and 4 unisons. So that way I have a total of 10 cards out of my 53 card deck that don't do anything. Everything else in my hand is just I can drop it whenever I need for defense, combo.
It makes sense. So in total, you
Yeah.
run what? 4 blockers, 2 Ba, 2 Pan, right?
Yeah.
And 2 negates theoretically with the King Vegeta imposing presence. I know.
Well,
Wolf Fang,
yeah.
I get, but like it's not really a negate. Counter attack.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're doing a lot of hand control. You're going aggro. You're swinging crits. I'm sure. Double strike crits at that too. Depending, how
Yeah.
often are you going into the like? How soon are you getting off your fearless pan on the units? Turn 2, turn 3.
Depending on matchup, turn 2, guaranteed.
Wow.
Turn 3 is just me stacking extra. I was playing against this. I believe it was the Helku deck. I was playing against that, and I didn't drop my fearless panel until turn 3, and my unison had 11 markers on it.
You got to keep the unison and pop off another
Yeah.
turn.
And that's the thing about this unison in this game right now. It's really strong because a lot of leaders take their own life. So
extra
you're going to
markers
go up
every
to 3
turn.
markers right there, you know.
Right.
If you go first, it goes to 3. It's really good.
Unless they're swinging with an inherent double strike leader, which there's only like a handful.
Yeah.
Did you run against any starter Vegetas?
No, I've had plenty testing against it. The deck really doesn't do anything to me. It's not strong enough because they'll swing their double strike unison, but by the time their double strike unison swings, I already got like 1 or 2 balls on field,
Sure. Makes sense.
and then their hand's a lot smaller than U7 Gohan, so I can warp it easier.
That's fair. Real quick, we'll go through your side, and then I want to talk about your matchups. So on your side, you had 2 Broly Crowns, 2 Max Powers, 2 Unending Awakenings. I really like that extra card. 2 Violent Rays. Okay. You run 2 King Vegeta. I don't know the name of this, but it's a counter play. That
Oh, Hidden
nobody
Ambitions?
plays. Yes, nobody plays it. Was it specifically for blue?
No, that's just specifically for green.
Really? For green?
I don't like getting dormanted. I don't like getting shocking deathballed.
Okay.
And against green, if they have unison up field, I can wait till turn 3 easily because they're not going to kill my card. And if they do, they're going to just get more cards out of their hand. Yeah.
Spicy. I like that. Two regular Piccolo unisons that most red decks play. One extra Yamcha, one secret identity, and then one Fu. I hate Fu, so I was not
It's really in
surprised. Yeah.
it's really in there for two matchups, and that's it.
I mean, I don't think you'd ever get
So
to return six normally. So.
you wouldn't think that, but when I was playing on the online regional, I ran against one of those Frieza space pod decks,
Mm,
and he 10 drop food to me, and I survived it because I Yamcha counterplayed it, and my SCR was already on field,
that's
so all
crazy.
his cards were already negged.
That's crazy. Obviously, Broly Crowns probably came in pretty much on the regular. Max Powers probably came in. Um,
I only sided through two matches actually,
really,
and I sided the third Yamcha counterplay in more than any other card.
I could see that. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of siding in those times, go through how many rounds did you play before Top Cut, and then go through your matchups just briefly. You don't have to tell me everything, but if you can
So
remember.
it was 6 rounds of Swiss
Yeah.
till top 8 cut. My first round was Soul Striker. Then I played Hellboy, and then round 5 was the hardest because I played against Gogeta Zeno, and we were both undefeated. So game 1, I will say game 1 I should not have won, but his Mills RNG killed him.
Sure.
Game 2 he got me. Game 3 he just didn't stand a chance, and he had really good Mills too.
Well, that's good to know. I
Yeah.
mean, RNG is just a bitch sometimes, so
Yeah.
I hate mill decks personally, like on either end, because you don't know what you're gonna get milled.
Yeah.
So you went undefeated, or you lost one in Swiss?
In round 6, I lost to somebody who was X1 playing Android 21 because I misread the field spell.
Bro.
So this is where like like dizziness and tiredness started getting to me because the way the field spell was read, I thought it was once per turn. All battle cards played that turn can't swing that turn.
No, bro.
So game 1, I still won because I had battle cards from the previous turn, and I hard casted Fearless Pan, and my opponent scooped it up there.
Hmm.
And then game 2, that field spell effect, me misreading it, cost me the game really bad. And then game 3, if you go back and somehow watch the match, you'll realize that I realized what the field spell's actual effect did too late, and I started swinging it and trying to go for game.
Well, that's why we read the cards. We don't just assume.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
your opponent obviously was not going to tell you that you were playing it wrong. So,
Oh yeah, no. He was like, "Oh, you're not swinging? Okay."
all right, no, he's just doing something strategy wise. So let's break down the top cut. Who did you play? What were the decks, and how did your top cut experience go for you?
So in first round of Top Cut, I played against Eddie from Team Foe again. He's playing Red Jiren. He and I played earlier in Swiss, and honestly, that's my hardest matchup throughout all the decks in the format currently.
Really?
Because because in my opinion, the Red Jiren deck is it can push as hard as I can, and unlike Gogeta Zeno, it's more consistent than Gogeta Zeno.
Sure. I mean, it
So
still
even
has some
though
RNG, but yeah, makes
yeah, so
sense.
even though the Jiren deck probably doesn't have like good matchups across the board, it has a really good matchup against me due to the fact that it sees its cards more than Gogeta Zeno does.
I mean, red on red crime's tough. I always found red decks versus red decks is a tough matchup.
Yeah.
Did you 2-0, 2-1?
I 2-1'd them.
Okay. What was your top four matchup?
I played against U7 Gohan.
Okay. And then
Game 1, I told you about where I dropped the SCR already. He had nothing.
right.
Game 2, he was able to push me down faster, and I was able to push him down. And then game 3, he tried, you know, the Vegeta counterplay. If you have 3 or more energy, you can tap and hit the battle card. So he did that to one of Fearless Pants I hardcasted. And actually, no, he did it to the free play one. And then I hardcasted one. Gave everybody double strike. And then I neg 6 my unison, and he did another Vegeta counterplay. And I was like, that hits 15 or less, right? And then that's where the Broly came in handy. Because I summoned a 19k Broly, got around it, sent the ball I decided to play to the grave. And then I got a peek at his hand and swung 19 in for game.
That's dirty. And then your finals matchup. What did you play and how'd you finish?
I played the Gotenks blue green player.
Blue green go tank. Okay.
Yeah. Game one was a landslide for me because getting seeded first, and I get to determine who goes first in the game is really heavy. So I decided to go first in game one,
Makes sense.
and then game two was really close. He dropped like I think 70K in combo, so he had no hand. It was his last attack. I was at one life. And then he thought he was about to win until I dropped 3 super combos on him. And he's like, oh man, there he goes.
Hey,
Because what he told me is the reason he likes blue green goat tank is because dual attack 30K goat tanks is good.
it is.
He likes beating it and swinging it twice.
Oh, that makes sense. So Swift 2-0.
Yeah.
Take away from the tournament. How was it? How was the organization? Was it under, good timings? How was the rest of the event around there?
The event was actually ran really smoothly by John and PPG because John said we're not starting anytime later at 1 p.m. We were all sitting in front of our opponent by 12:58 p.m. and timer started at 1. Time there were not as many ties as there was in the previous ruling. There were a lot of game threes and overtimes. Like Houston's champion from the past Halloween PPG, Aiden, he went up there with me. He played 3 overtime heartbreakers, and I was like, man, that just had to suck. Because he played U7 Gohan, then he played against Hatch.
Ugh.
He just played all these slow decks, and I was like, man.
That has something to say with the whole card game. You can be a really good player because Aiden's a great player, and you can play a great deck. But it's just sometimes RNG's undefeated, bro. Like you can't beat RNG.
Yeah.
And matchups mean everything. So one day you could be great, and you can go like 5-1. Next day you can go 0-6, right? It's just you in the draw. So you're going to Nats, right?
Yeah. I still got my plane ticket, but yeah, I'll be flying out there.
Are you running Red Broly?
Honestly, I have 3 decks currently lined up.
Mm-hmm.
This deck does sit across all of them because I can go into any matchup blind and feel comfortable playing this. And the only thing that probably changed will be a couple cards in the main deck that I thought I had problems with. And then the side deck is always up for determination.
Sure.
And with the new decks coming out, I don't feel like Finn's strong enough for this. I don't feel like Blue Kaba is strong enough for this because it's blue.
Right.
This deck just has a really good blue matchup in general.
Mm-hmm.
And then like everybody keeps talking about Icarus, but I've been watching the new Icarus decks, and yeah, they have good hand presence, but their field presence lacks really hard now.
They have that new counterplay, the 3-drop Goku that turns into a 1-drop. Basically, it's like a Zamasu for mono yellow. I feel like that's probably the card that's gonna mess everybody up.
Yeah, and that card's coming out has actually made me thought about playing more than 2 Yamcha in deck.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this was a great deck, great accomplishment. Congratulations on the win, Christian. Nats is in 2 weeks, a little bit less than 2 weeks, I think. So I'm sure you guys are playtesting like crazy. How many of your team is going to Nats? 4?
There is 4 of us so far. 3 are confirmed.
Okay.
We're still up in the air about Brian attending because Brian still has not confirmed if he wants to go completely or not.
Okay. Fair enough.
But within this week, we should know if all 4 of us are going or not.
Fair enough. Best of luck to you at Nats, my friend. It's awesome seeing you grow in the game and seeing your team presence growing up. Obviously, not quite Salt Boy's level of spicy, but you got some tops in there. So we'll be seeing you around locals, and I wish all the Houston players best of luck at Nats, and hopefully you get to go win that so you can go to Worlds and you can design a Farmer Shotgun card for me.
Hey, that's what I was thinking. I was like, farming with a sniper, man. Got to put him out there.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate the interview. I appreciate the deck profile. We'll catch you on the next one, all right?
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Take it easy.